Welcome, day two of reviewing my tweets from the night before. Sitting here on stage in my place, waiting for the sun to embrace. Perfect. Alright, let's find out what's up. There we go. Twitter. February 14th edition, Valentine's Day 2023. Last night's materials. Tuesday. Usually Tuesday's always been defined as a movie day. I did have a movie running, but I wasn't really paying attention. I was just watching it while it was in the background. You know, like when you have a good TV movie on, like TBS on Saturday, and you catch like in the middle of it, and you already know what's happening because it's one of those Universal movies, but it was one of those movies. And it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Out of the Shadows 2016. I really have a hard time watching movies of late compared to what they used to be because the venues of everything has changed so much that we can record in our phones, hence I'm recording myself. I don't have to go to Hollywood to be on screen under somebody else's direction. I can have my own speech and sound and stage rather than, like being under somebody else's direction that doesn't know what's best for me or even experience anything possibly close to what I am compared to what their puzzle pieces are and what they want me to be, which is just not the case. The sun is beaming even more. Wonderful, wonderful. I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it a lot. I do. Okay, scrolling back. The last 24 hours on my phone. All around the world, let me know. Okay. There was a tweet about Bruce Lee, and it was be like water, my friend. But we are 70% or more water already. So then, rather than be like water, we should just be water. Be like water and be water. Okay. Still tracking back. Lots of material to work through. Alright, here we go. Oh, the hand of God, the dark Messiah. It's lit. Totally lit. So it's game day for the Sharks and Penguins. Historically, since the creation of the Sharks franchise, the Penguins have been totally their boss through Mario Lemieux. Mario's favorite team, like 5 points, nothing less for Mario versus Sharks. Mario is actually like Killer Whale. Killer Whales actually play with Sharks. Lemieux 66. So in the NHL, San Jose Sharks and Edmonton Oilers, they have players on the table. Both teams are sitting not at the top, so they have star potential, star pieces, but they're both attached to them. And what they need to do for what the best for both teams is move a couple captains, Couture and Carlson from the Sharks, over to the Oilers. And sadly, DeRaisaitl has to go to the Sharks with Nurse and probably Jesse Pugliarvi. The Mount Rushmore for wrestling. This person would say HBK, Eddie Guerrero, Brian Danielson, and Bret Hart. The Sportskeeda Wrestling. Just trade Eddie and Daniel for Savage and Warrior. Like, come on. Those two are like pioneering of wrestling, of speech, and of intensity. Anybody in the new is just a blueprint of the original of what they are. HBK, I mean, he's a combination of many moves from many of the stars that were lining up for their one move. He had the flying elbow, Savage, flying forearm, Tito Santana, figure four leg lock, Ric Flair, and the list goes on, you know. So HBK the Dragon is like over the top rope, swings back in Ricky Steamboat. So I mean, he's a combination of little bits and pieces with his own flair of his own energy. So he did really well. Okay, on the Super Bowl. I think we talked about this yesterday. Moving forward. Okay, there we go. Alright, there's a poem by Santa Monica, God of War. The hateful is red, healed walkers are blue. Just like the Leviathan axe will always come back to you. If you press triangle again, happy Valentine's Day. So they're talking about them and their Valentine, and they have a triangular, like a three-way, 3 points being on the outside. You can call the axe back by bringing it back, but it's like come back, like on the back. Jack is back, Santa Monica, Asgard. And I wrote him a pretty couple line poem back really quick. Jack is back, quack attack, God of War is a maniac. Happy Valentine's Day, Asgard. Then we went on to the Ottawa Senators. These were their lines, and I read into their lines in numbers. The more I speak about this, the more it will make sense. So, line one is 7, number 7. 7, C, okay, I gotta say what this is. Projected forward lineup 7 Pajak, 18 Schultz, and 21 Joseph. The code on that one is 7C, 1 infinite, or 8 on 21 Joseph. So that line operates on J justice. 7 is the seeing of the infinite, and either it's an 8 or a rollover of an infinite or 7C. Line number 2, 12 de Brincat, 17 Grig, 28 Giroux. So 2, 8 in Giroux is the measure on 1, 2, and 1, 7. 1, 7 on Greg, a 2, 8 on G, and 1, 2 to Brincat. So 2 on the cat. 2 DEVR in cat, triangle 1, 7, 2, 8, infinite GIROUX. So that's the code on the second line for the Senators. Third line, 14 Mott, 57 Pinto, 19 Batterson. Line 3, 1 FOUR, MOTTE, FIVSEVN, PNTO19, bats are on. 4, 5, okay, and then the final line is empowered by 4, 5 Kelly, 2, 7 Gamble, and 16 Watson. So fourth line is Kelly, 2, 7 G Amble, it's a gamble on a Kelly, and 1, 6 WATS is on. So the limit is 1, the 2 is already had, and that's the mark of the measure of the Spartan lines for the Ottawa Senators. Really quick, their defense 7-2 CHABOT, tutu Zytab, ZAT. So 72 to see if it's anything on a B. The B is a U bed, and a tutu is a queer on a Z, SEV. The second line is 26 Brandstorm with 2 ZB. So a B line that is blessing on a 2-6, or and the third defense is 3-2 Larson with 2-3 Hominic. So an inverse of each other. So a LARSS on and a ham on IC. So it's a check on a LA. Interesting, eh? Then there's a post about a family, how they prepared their menu for the Valentine's Day. Mr. Sean Beeson, Music and Sound. My children prepared an annual St. Valentine's Day meal for us. This year, it was called The Hive. The Hive goes back to The Last of Us, for the ones that are in the Firefly, the resistance group, or the last of the remaining peoples. So salad, homemade pizza, homemade brisket, as well as cupcakes made, a fine homemade wine that still runs, and hummus. The menu, the Hive, drinks options. You could have lemonade, water, hams, or milk. Main dishes, pizza a la roquette or a brisket. And 100 desserts. LA creme glaze, red velvet cupcakes, smoothie sides. Or sides are smoothie. The sides are salad or pastry. Additionally on the menu, it says 100% off on all food. Happy Valentine's Day, and it's me going to the Hive. I replied, Fireflies, Father's Rightful Alliance. And I posted a video of the Fireflies in the video game, and one of Carey Price. Carey Price being Father's Rightful Alliance member, maybe one of the main figures. Ottawa Senators started a new goalie, Mando Lap, Go Sens Go. I replied to them, let's do this again. Tell them, what Mando Lap was, that the new goalie, they sent him out on the lap as the only person on the ice. So I sent him a note telling him that I have a PlayStation controller, and I wanted to pretend like he's the goalie out there and I'm pressing buttons. Like, you know, when you take the first controller of the goalie, and he's like glitching everywhere, alone on the ice, sliding everywhere. And that would have been so funny. Tell him I have the controller and pressing all the buttons. He should idle glide all over the place like a video game who takes control of the goalie for the first time. Number 70, goalie 70. USB Arena, Go Sens Go. Senators are online. They're finally in their element, a young team where they were basically just playing hockey, and now they're more combined in their ethos, like they found their calling of what they're working for and what they're collected there to actually do as Spartans. Nothing was the score for the Senators. For period 2, for you, Go Sens Go. I responded to them with images, Go Sens Go. Then I said, you two, the band, and Spartans with shields, Spartan Rage, and Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta. That's my figure, my alignment is the outside in, but as the main, I don't really need an army with me, but Spartans need to know what to do. General Kratos. King Tosa, what's up, General? So on Twitter, there was ability to make new lists, and somebody asked Elon Musk if They can follow people and their list can be made private so nobody can see what they're doing. And I responded like being a leech. Don't tell them. Don't tell them that I'm here. You know, it's like if you're following somebody's material or gaining insight or wisdom from them, that is your source. So that's like going to a level of God consciousness where God is there and the person is deeming themselves greater than and with the source but not acknowledging the source, so they're a leech. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, AEW heavyweight champion, the Burberry Triple B strap. It's a beautiful belt, a one of a kind, very well done. So Elon Musk is speaking. Yes, worth nothing. The accounts you follow on lists are private. Okay. This is me replying to Mr. Musketeer. Mr. Musketeer, Twitter Sports is broken and it's embarrassing because all the sports that aim that are things on Twitter are like incorrect. There's a picture image of Mikal Bridges that indicates Sons at the King. The image of Bridges is very old now, or a younger version of him, and he plays for Brooklyn Nets. So that image is totally wrong, and I don't even think they know the difference, or if they'll ever figure it out, because it's not sports people running it, and they don't have the speed and knowledge to know multiple leagues and people, and sports in general. Sacramento Kings and the Trailblazers in the West. Kings a clean team. I like the Kings. Sacramento Kings, they say sunny outside in the valley. Outside in the valley is correct because that's Phoenix, People, Sun, and no, fight back. But the Valencia keeps Trent Davis cool, protecting. He's wearing glasses, so he's protecting his game site. That's their business. They can deal with their own situation of what they do or they don't do. It's not. That's not. You know, it's not the leading thing for me. Sitting up straight. Okay, moving forward. Tonight show. For all of you lovers out there, why are you single? My response was this. Because family could compromise my command. Command of what? This actual job. Self-directed thing that needs to be done. Where leaders on the planet are manipulating things to put people of less fortune way beneath them and to sell themselves in positions of compromisation that do not please God with the life that was given to the beings. So, as a representative on that aspect, I just like to speak from them straight up. It's a rock and a hard place. They may deem themselves to be very powerful and maybe scary, but they got nothing compared to what potentially could be scary in the afterlife. So, I am serving that side and letting these people know what the actual situation is because they have no idea about that and they are self-serving and not using their own families and kids but other people's kids of people who are deemed less fortunate for the scales of not having access to money on this planet where all resources are stemmed from Earth and we are of Earth. So, I am single because family could compromise my command. SSRYU. It's the way to manipulate people. I gotta deliver because they try to make us all slaves on money manipulation, and I'd rather not be bringing my seeds into this realm. Yeah, what's the point of bringing in children? Say, if you have a bunch of daughters and you don't have the money to support it, and then eventually some Jabba the Hutt has money and there's desperation to eat, and then they just buy the bean or something like that with some stupid fucking bullshit that they have no business being there. Hence, their bee is lost and their butt is gone, and a whole bunch of other physical nastiness. Albert Einstein, in his own voice, it's incredible to hear him explain the formula of E equals mc squared. Basically, he said a large amount of space can fit into a small energetic capsule or container, or a small container into a large amount of space. That to me describes a star. A star, when it burns out, dies, it expands. When it's collected, it's a large amount of information. Hence, each and every one of us in our own bodies, we are actually star systems. So I'm my own star system, and you are your own star system, but you're just in your thoughts programmed from what people told you what is. I had a conversation with a pizza man when I went to go get a pizza, and I asked him where his origins were. He's Asian, and I asked him if he was Laos, and he didn't really know. He said he was from the Philippines, and then I mentioned that he's Christian from the Philippines. He's proudly said yes, and I said, "How did you become Christian?" And he said it was the Crusades of colonialism through the Spaniards, and then it's like, how did the Spaniards become Christians? They were conquered, so it's a conquering wave that went all over. And I said, find out who the Philippines people were before they were converted to Christianity. Nothing against Christianity, but to tap into your own ethnic roots of your primal being that will have lots of energy for them. So I encourage them to find out what they are made of. Now, my favorite boxing promoter, Mr. Latin Snake Sergio Mora, on Boxing Dazen on February 29th, it's gonna be Santanians versus Ortiz Jr. Stan Onions. Stan Onions. Stan Onions. Ortiz Jr. versus Stan Onions. Welterweight, WBC. I have to learn more about boxing in the ranks and that. Seems like it's always been a money game in that, but it's like the same thing all around every league. It's like one wrestler or boxer walking around with like multiple straps. Like, oh, like isn't one belt enough to proclaim your championship in your sport? Why do you gotta have multiple belts? It doesn't make sense. It should just be one. Why do you need more than one to credit or acknowledge yourself as a champion? It just demeans the title. Tesla posted perfect match robots, and then I told them a story about when I used to work in a 24/7 production plant. I said, I used to talk to machines during my shifts. In a 24/7 production manufacturing outfit, 12-hour shifts. They ran better and better when I acknowledged them, and my production shift numbers were the best. So Optimus Robot is most like me. Yeah, machines, when you speak to machines, there's a connection. If they run better. But you have to be spiritually inclined to get past of thinking things are just things. There's a picture of Anthony Bowens. He's one of the AEW Scissor Me tag team. He's not in his updated present angle, but it shows him working, and pretty much to let him know he's paying the cost to be the boss at that point. He's in a costume and he's representing himself, and he's building his experience of where he's been. So good work for him, and enjoying all of the success and having fun. Chad Johnson. Old Cho Cinco. What game do I watch? PSG or Tottenham? I replied to him a gif of Tom Green. Tom Green's like, is that the Chad? And then there's a blue butterfly with a little G, and he's got nice hair. Joe Dirt with his mullet, and Diego Maradona doing his crucifix and its beauty of a mane. I decoded him. Chad is CHOCNCO. So that's Chad Johnson's code. PSG or TT Ham. I just left him with a George Harris. So George Harris, he knows what it is. And he can continue to do what he wants to do, but every case study and example will lead him into a direction of reconsidering, into repenting, and that's their cause, his life, not my responsibility. Ottawa Senators went into overtime. There's a player for the Kings that's really good. Fox's name. In the shootout, Senators come over the Islanders 3-2. Chasing 7th spot with games in hand from the basement of the league. The Senators this year, they were really, really bad. They were very, very far down. Right now in the Eastern Conference, they're sitting in 13th position with 53 games, 55 points. If you move up the rankings, 56 points in 7th position with 62 points. 3 games in hand, 6 games would give them 61 points to be equal with Pittsburgh. So they got to continue their winning ways and get into the dance. Once these guys are in the dance, who knows what they can do. So that's pretty entertaining and a good thing. Then Elon Musk of Twitter, he jumped onto the Foxhound stuff that I was posting. Pretty much he recognizes everything I'm posting. A couple days later or a week, he's influenced by it. If he admits it or not, I am his guru. If he does admit it or not a big deal to me. I'm here always by like being myself. I'm not losing nothing. So he says he's great with numbers. He's talking about new CEO. He's great. All these people say great in two ways. You could say it's great, like terrific, or they could meet GR8 with number. And then I replied, numbers are numbers. Numbers are always true because they represent numbers. And lettering of the alphabet is the spelling. So the spelling is the abracadabra, like alphabet, English spelling. So that stems from England, like hocus pocus, witchcraft. England is notorious for that. And hence Harry Potter. Elon Musk says, this foxhound has the fire style. True. Because it's self-directed and he does all his own work with a minimum budget. Really, it is the case. Doesn't have to always be the case. We could have upgrades to the foundations of not the Batcave, but the Superman Fortress of Solitude. That picture right there, that's Spider-Man. Spider-Man from, where's that? Into the Spider-Verse. Santa the Sharks be like, how many Valentines is one person allowed to have? asking for a friend on the right. So RIGHT. And then I responded, depends on her Valentine. Jaws, like, you go find whatever you want. You could have multiple people, but when you look at yourself and your jaw's not there, and your chest is gone, and your assless chab, then is it really worth it? You're being eaten. Not in a good way. Okay, let us continue. Then I got some classic pictures of my friends, and these are old pictures that I haven't seen. I just wanted to send them to my homie because I didn't see him. One of our homies is totally drunk and passed out, and a security guard approaches, and the security guard was like, "It's a code for Aerostar. Happy Valentine's Day." Ford Aerostar, a classic van, minivans when they first started out. It was like everybody wanted to be in a minivan. There's so much room. Van. San Jose Sharks, first intermission, down 1 goal, and saying, "We don't love this, heartbroken." Me putting it to the San Jose Sharks, they're in a state out of love. They need to change their numbers, their tune of of their feed and how they run things. Numbers on the digits will change everything according to their feeding. With their present configuration, they're sitting in 13th spot as well. 54 games played with 45 points. If you look at 6th spot, that's 20 points ahead. So 8th spot is 16 points out. That's 8 wins, but more like 16 wins out of the next 20 would set up to make the dance. Be hungry, constantly feeding frenzy, or coasting through the Sharks. Play your own individual style as a Shark. Sharks on ice, they gotta do their own thing. They have the puck, but they gotta be majestic like a shark. It's a totally different frequency. And they gotta use their radars, and then with their attached laser beams, score goals. A Sami Zayn appreciation post, free Palestine, WrestleMania. Sharks still not loving this. I posted a picture of Draisaitl, not in the Oilers jersey, but just like laughing because he should be the captain of the team, not number 29, but number 11. I posted a whole bunch of posts on philosophy, of high-level contemplation of God tier. Whole bunch of material. I don't know if anybody watches it, but it's there for them to see. Not really a big deal. It's like God's always here as well, but if you don't go to God, will you ever find God in your life? You know, kind of like that. Gudder 2 is coming out with Sunny Deol. Sunny Deol is a actor in Bollywood from a second generation of a famous bloodline. And he has famous lines. He's like, Lashe, Cardo, Lashe. He's very just and brings order to things. Interesting to see what this Gudder 2 is, as that story continues of him and his many people upset with the NFL on some holding call. Even Johnny Gaudreau of the Columbus Blue Jacket called it rigged. So I couldn't waste my time with it.
My team wasn't even in Dolphins or Raiders. Dolphins did acknowledge, but didn't acknowledge, so I kind of swam away. It was like I was with the Raiders. Raiders didn't acknowledge. I swam to the Dolphins because in the Bible, dolphins represent Christ, and they have the sun on the helmet, so there's two factors there. So I went and checked out the team. Last season, when I did go to the team, they finished the year like on a 7 game winning streak. Went to the playoffs, lost, and then they started this season. They started doing well, and then they got into their own thing, and they started getting injuries. And ultimately, they collapsed and didn't make the playoffs. The Raiders didn't acknowledge. I went back to the Raiders to see what's up with them because things are so bad. They were losing close games, overtime games by minimal margins of points, but they were losing like 5-1. And eventually, toward the end of the season, they started to win games. But it was the end of an era. Like QB Derek Carr has been released, so I don't know what's up for the Raiders in the future, what they deem for their roster, what they want to see. But I'm not down with the philosophy of just win, baby, W and baby. Nah, it's got to be a different logo, different mentality if they want to actually win. Then I started to train last night, 10 hours. I started playing music. If you know these tracks, I'll just list the tracks. You can definitely put them to your playlist. Totally worth it. Awesome sounds. I play nothing but the best. Probably the world's best DJ for my own party. I play what I like. So first song was Garbage, Romeo and Juliet by Crush. That song's awesome. That's awesome bass line. And it's like ethereal. I can't even do it like right now, but it's in my head. Next song, Michael Jackson, History remix. It's like keep moving, keep moving, keep moving till you're the king of the hill. Yeah, ta 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 ta. Then I played Marvin Gaye, Sunny. It's like Sunny. Yesterday the clouds were like like sad and stuff, and everybody's like. Then Sunny comes through with all the truth and still smiles with sincerity. Sits on like low levels and just be on the front line and helps everybody grow taller and change their life to a point where God frequency and God is pleased with life through them. And my job is done to help them and they can shine and have that connection in their existence. It's not about me. It's not. I'm just an instrument for God. I'm of God. I'm His, 100%. Then we played Hulk Hogan, Ravishing. It's like ding 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 ding. The ultimate like good man music that totally pumps up the good man. Then L.A. Night, Rolling in the Deep. It's like L.A. Night, do 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 do, and he's like yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I play Sharpshooter, Best of the Best, featuring Bret Hart from the Rascals. Mm-mm. Then I played Rascals, Really Living, and I added gifs of hashtag S, the second son, Shawn Michaels, and Owen Hart. Then I played Suspect Chin Music, Street Life from Method Man. On his art, it looks like he has a skull of the Predator. So that was at like 3 a.m. I'm looking at like a picture of Method Man with like black eyes and he's like rapping his thing. Suspect Chin. That's the test. The good, the bad, the ugly. Method Man check you, then you won't even see what be happening. Next song after that was Blacklist by Man of War. There's one name on that list, and you know it's me. Kinda cool, kinda cool. Not acknowledged, made on that list, but who's shining, like without effortless. Ah, Twitter fingers. good song. Next song after that was Heaven on Earth by Kid Cudi. Heaven on Earth is through our own body. It's a rainbow bridge, but the so-called elite people that deem themselves elite try to hijack the rainbow and make the rainbow queer through coming back. But on the Asgard in God of War, the real rainbow is going up the spine into divine connection of the crown that's connected. Crown is connected, has third eye sight. Third eye sight is the inner eye of the illumination of the star system operating within the body. And then when you go down lower, there's the sound, the vocal chakra, the restricted space. If you do not speak your truth, your sound will not come out. If you are of deception and lies and deceit, it's like a mouth shrinkage. Your mouth will shrink, but if you're truth, you will amplify. And those are basically God properties. To get to the higher realms of energetics, most people live in their lower base survival place, but the heart has to be expansive. The heart has to, like, say at the ground level, there's a serpent that's always crawling. When the serpent from the ground level masters its reproductive nature of the male feminine energetics and is not totally in the hedonistic bestiality state of a beast roaming the earth of reproduction, then they ignite the will. When the will is ignited, it's like a heart on fire. It's like the heat from the inner will, the inner sun, starts to come to the heart. Then the heart starts to blossom open. Then all the issues of life that are hard and difficult, that are matters of the heart, have to be identified. From that place, when the expansive heart, say the serpent actually gets wings, and when the serpent gets wings, it's no longer on the ground, and its purpose is complete, for it is centered the heart property, going from a cold-blooded state into a warm, expansive state, and that's the transformation of the Kundalini. When that heart space after happens, there's one secret chakra, the high heart. There's the heart and the high heart. The heart is here for your family, your immediate people. Then the high heart for the higher service of God. It's within oneness, and then you operate from that energetics, and it totally changes your auric field. So that is heaven on earth. Next song, bass strings maximum on this song. It's Tales of Power from the Best of the Best soundtrack. It's like ding, ding. The bass strings are so awesome on it. Boom, boom, like awesome, awesome song. Then the replay of the same artist, Jim Capaldi, guitar, is something so strong. Something so strong is like a song of something that keeps going. It's like a truck that was bought generations ago, but it keeps on running and doing the job that needs to be done. And I love that song. Then I posted some other pics. It was Leo and Donnie. Basically, my classification is I'm Scorpio. SSR are my initials. I have two names, but both start with S, so I'm categorized as S. The Leo component is ISR, NSR, so the Leo encompasses all of those properties. And who is your source? In my picture, I'm like two halves at that time. Oh, so in my picture at this time, if you separate me down in the middle at this time, I'm like 20 years old. One side is one side and one side is the other. I'm still figuring out myself. It's the moon component of myself and the solar component of myself. And there's a maximum or a male-female blend, and it has to harmonize. I can't be too overly feminine property or too overly masculine property to not be of both properties. Ultimately, I want the best configuration for my properties in harmony. That's what I'm talking about. Most people are conflicted. They think that they're bipolar or something's wrong with them. They want to be in one constant state, but they think, why did I flip to this part? Well, you're made of two parents, so it's like if you haven't deemed your own identity of your true self, you're going to be operating on one side of your mother and one side of your father, and that's your bipolar nature until you harmonize into yourself and become your true self. More songs, more songs. Yeah, I played music last night. It's a good time. So there was a tweet about grade six, and my post about grade six was, in grade six we had a morning and afternoon teachers, Mrs. Philip Chuck in the morning and Miss Wolseley in the afternoon. I believe her name was also Miss Philip Chuck before she got married, so it was like a double Philip Chuck in the class according to that school. I sat next to a person, her name was Tasha M, and I met her initially way back in like kindergarten, grade one. We lived on the same block, or just on the next block through the pathway, and yeah, she used to copy my math work, but the rest of the day she didn't know me. But when it came down to math, it's like, Sonny. And he played the song Justice, Safe and Sound. Then there was a post of in the USA these freedom medals being awarded to a bunch of people by the president at the time, Barack Obama, and all these people have been linked to Jeffrey Epstein, and they are giving themselves freedom medals for some sort of freedom that they believe that they are to have. But Father's Alliance says that's not your kids, and come on, that's that. Another story about the first girl I spoke to at school. It was like I went to school. It was in kindergarten. I went to the playground, and there was this girl standing there. Her name was Destiny. She spoke to me. We were the only two there, and after she spoke to me, she went through a different school. I still remember what she was wearing. Like when I was a kid, like I remember this clearly. And later in life, after like kindergarten into grade nine, we found out we were in the same home room for grade nine class. But these people, I believe, they probably forget everything. I can remember things way back to when I was like 2 years old. So there was something about Queen Elizabeth. I do lots of spiritual work in my own time. I spend a lot of time underneath earth as I wanted to shift some things for myself. I wanted to sleep on a harder concrete for my body. Like, I just didn't want to be sleeping on soft things that just moved to a place where it'd be a little bit more difficult on the everyday, so my everyday body is good. But I was visited by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. She appeared in a meditation where she was much younger, and it was more or less in that state. It's telepathic communication, but everything was good. I think she this may be funny, but I'm actually lit over here. Like I'm glowing, so all the pictures of our old spiritual ancestors that have the corona, the halo, the ancestral litness, that's what this life is about, representing that. And she came to acknowledge that for doing a good job for the realm. And kind of, there's a confirmation, and was not kind of displeased that didn't get to actually know me in life. She's good, so don't worry, all is well. There's a meme, there's like Balder and Kratos that says women that are 5'6" and less and men that are 5'11". She's like, I thought you'd be bigger. Like, please. How much bigger do you want? Like fucking Shaquille O'Neal? There's more ships coming into the planetary as the sun's solar flares happened and the big shift for humanity is occurring. Mm, We're not gonna cry, we're not gonna cry, is what King Tulsa said when he's reading his obituaries for his little brother's dead. King Tulsa's pretty sad. Like, look,
guys like Joe are rare and precious find. Generous to a fault. Going along where others fall short.
sober
Made of mercy and malice.
depends who it is.
And foibles. They don't drop names, they pick up the slack.
Oh, the kids of this
voices,
land.
they lower the temperature.
Because it gives God a better experience
They
through our
don't
lives.
grudges. They unlock potential.
In the present moment, I'm serving
They
God,
don't show off.
influencing people to be better for God.
They show up.
King Tulsa, highly recommended. And that is the recap for the day for Twitter. Things are slowing down for me on Twitter as acknowledgement from these companies is indirect. And they all use the energetics, but they won't admit it. So I'm stepping back and letting them be in their configuration without me and keeping an eye on a few things. Like in sports right now, it's just NHL, Senators, Sharks. Both teams outside looking in. It's not like I'm jumping with the main teams. It's like I don't need to be at the top from them. I can help these teams build, and when they're at the top, I'll ride with them. So I'm working on both. They both have SSR in their names and lettering, so that's just alignment for me. In the NBA, I'm looking at Portland Trailblazers and Sacramento Kings. Trailblazers, because my last name is in there. Blazers, my dog's name, and I'm Blazer. Shiva Shakti, Shiva Blaze, Jesus Blaze, all Blaze, holy smokes. So get over that. The NFL is pretty much open right now. I'm leaning toward the Raiders, but their program, I don't know if they're on my team or not. But that logo is our logo, and it's applied on those versus the Raiders. So if you see people with the stink eye, that's one eye shut, and the Suicide Kings, that's because they're operating in parameters that gives them the Raiders properties. So stop being deceptive and stop being like a bitch. What else? Wrestling, WrestleMania, wrestling characters. Acknowledged Seth Rollins and told him about a product for him and his boots. I'm not sure if anything will come out of this, but if it does good, he's always talking about in wrestling you gotta put the other guy over, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But when it comes down to him, let's see what he does with this, and it will be the measure. Either he'll make WrestleMania or he won't. And that's that. Aside from that, that's the day today. The sun did come out. It was dark earlier. Tomorrow's recap probably not as long, but you never know what kind of mood I'll be in to say what. I do have some movies to watch, like Top Gun, Maverick. I've been wanting to watch for a long time, but just to watch movies and sit there and have my phone there, it seems like a big investment. If I look at that movie, it's like
I'll have to watch it on one go around to take the movie in with like no nothing. And watch it again and break it down into the scenes of what's actually being said. And I don't know if I want to subject myself to any energetics that could vamp me or steal from me without my consent when I'm watching a movie. Mr. Warlock Properties from Christmas. He's aging as well. Remember that last scene in Anne Rice Interview the Vampire where Lestat is like all withered away and like Louis, no, Louis, no. It's like scared of Louis, but he wants to feed and gain his powers. And he does, and he gets young again, and then then he meets the interviewer that was interviewing the vampire, who was Brad Pitt. So in Illuminati, these people are actually saying things and saying aspects of themselves. So it's like in acting, these roles come to these people because they're components of themselves. So they're expressing that, and I'm just watching that. There's a body collective of Hollywood stars that have been on my radar. And actors are actors. You don't know who they are really because they're pretending and they're talented. So they don't really have a solid identity, but a star structure with a name that plays roles. And that's what acting is. And that's it for the day for this Twitter recap. Ooh, look at that shadow. Funny.